Hey there, everybody. It's me, Kaylee McMahon. You already know me. I'm on here every week with number one Leading Ladies podcast, where we work to build women up instead of tear each other down. We have a special guest today, and I'd like her to just go ahead and introduce herself and let's get going.
Hello, and thanks for having me. I'm so glad. My name is Romana Hasenohrl. I'm an astrologer, an author, published 8 books up to now, working on the 9th and 10th at one time. And I'm a laughter yoga trainer, a happiness coach, and I try my best to cheer up people out there.
So you do quite a bit, and you can
I do.
you can answer any of these questions however you'd like. For example, if you want to talk about one specific business that you're focusing on, it's up to you. But what we like to ask our guests, especially in the beginning, depending on where you're at in your phase of your business, everyone that's watching or listening or reading later can usually take something from each different place that we're all at. So for myself, for example, getting a startup going or a new business going, there's always a process of sacrifice in the beginning. And then there's a process after that of getting to actual traction where you're going, okay, people are participating, buying, etc. For me, I started my business on a credit card. Some people live with their parents, but what did it look like for you making those sacrifices in the beginning and then getting to actual traction?
Yeah, at the beginning, I was quite overwhelmed with getting self-employed, building my own business, which was 10 years ago. And I started it as an astrological coach. And of course, it's kind of a hard topic because astrology has good people and bad people doing it. So you first of all have to make clear that you are one of the serious ones. And that was one of the biggest challenge for me. So I took many courses and supervisions with very famous astrologers. So I can say, okay, he or she was my teacher. That was quite a challenge. And the other part of my life, which is writing, that was a challenge too, because I never have written a book before 2015. I came up with a great idea and I found a publisher within 2 months.
Wow.
And yeah, that was so overwhelming for me because I thought, yeah, we're going to do that slowly like this.
Yeah.
I sent 10 emails and had 2 interested publishers. So I had to choose between them. And that was hard because I had personal talks with them. Austria is a very tiny country, so you can travel from one end to the other in a day. And I went there and had those talks, and then the decision was mine. So all these things I was not prepared to, because I came from, I was an employee up till the age of 44. So these were the challenges. And at the moment, I'm at that point in my business where I realized that all the things I can do and all the things I know, I need a bigger audience. So many people ask me, how do you start writing a novel? You did it. How do you start? And then I tell every single person how to do. And I think, why don't they make a good course and do it in English and go international? So that's at the moment my challenge.
Wonderful. So obviously, as you're sharing right now, the business or having your own business is kind of a constant learning process. I mean, there's really, if you're wanting to do this long term, there's really not, we learn one thing one time and then it never changes. You can always attest those challenges will keep coming. And so, being resilient, which it sounds like you are, is so important to be as a business owner. Now, it's really intriguing to me. So I'm going to kind of come back to one thing I heard kind of towards the end, because I really think that women that even are in my family, that I believe in the fact that no matter what your age is, that you could still kind of do what you want. But we'll come back to that. What I do want to ask is what would you say off the top of your head would be your biggest lesson?
Ooh, that's a good question. My biggest lesson is or was within the last years to know how good, how wonderful you are in what you do. And I realized that many clients of mine, especially women, struggle with that. So they start their own business, they charge very little money because they think, oh, I'm not worth it, I cannot do that, I'm a beginner, whatever. They do brilliant work in whatever field they're experts in, but they don't earn enough money to carry on because they never think about how much is my work worth or has it to be. And I had that problem myself. I could fix that within the last 3 years, but I think that still is a woman topic. Yeah, it's all about, you have to like do the math, right? How much do I have to earn?
Exactly. I was going to ask that next. How do you do the math? How did you figure out what that worth is?
I mean, at the beginning, I like thought about hours, you know, how much has an hour to bring so I can make my living. Within the last year, I really realized that that can't be it. It's again that model. Find out. For example, you want to earn, let's take the number 5,000, whatever, in a month, and then think of, okay, how many big clients do I need to fill this? And the rest is just doing, having fun, trying things. And I always like kind of, smiled about people telling me stuff like that. But within the last year, with all the crisis, the lockdowns, no clients coming home, getting everything onto online, I realized you have to think like that. Otherwise, you always run behind. You know, you run, and somewhere there's the goal.
Yeah.
And that's it. I think that's the big secret.
Right now, I wanted to ask too, when you're trying to figure out the value of your services, do you ever take into account, okay, well, what is the market charging right now, or what is the market average for these types of services? And if you did, where did you get that information from?
Especially in astrology, that's a funny topic because many people do it just for a hobby. You know, they do it for a hobby. They like print the birth chart, take a look at it, invite the clients, charge them 50 euros, and that's it. I got the price from the best ones, so I take a look at the best ones, and they are willing to tell.
Yeah.
And I take those prices. So when people come up to me and say, but I have a friend who does it like for free or for a bottle of wine or whatever they feel.
Yeah. Like, great.
I tell them, yeah, but in my region, in the Salzburg area, I'm one of the best. And so, sorry.
Yeah.
We have to go with that price, right? The only difference I make is I'm traveling a lot. I'm a long-term traveler. So I'm traveling up to 4 months per year in my old Volkswagen van. And that's like I still work abroad, but it's like slower going time. And when people come up to me while I'm traveling, I don't have the time to prepare those birth charts and everything, right? I'm there and the next day I'm gone. So I tell them this story, and that's the true story. I don't have time to prepare it, but if you want to take a look at it, you give me what you want. That's my traveling mode. And I think that's a fair deal to do it when I'm in that traveling mode, do it this way, and back home when I'm in business mode, I do it that way.
That's interesting. I've got more questions on that, but let me ask one more question, then I'll come back around to my 2 questions. This is cool. Just a new perspective, you know? So I guess the big question that a lot of listeners and watchers and readers want to know is, what would you say has been your biggest win?
Within the last 10 years, yeah, the traveling. Because as long as I was an employee, I always thought, okay, I don't have enough holidays. We have 5 weeks in Austria, which is pretty well.
Yeah.
But nevertheless, after 5 weeks, I always cried. I always cried on my way back home,
Yeah.
no matter where I was. And that was one of my big wishes when I started my business, that I can travel as much as I want per year. And that is the biggest win. So I realized, especially for writing, when it comes to writing, I need that breaks within a year. I head off to whatever country I like. And most of the time I have brilliant ideas there for new courses and new books. It's always the same, like cycle.
So I've got some more questions specifically on traveling and flexibility. And so a lot of the times, entrepreneurship, especially when you're getting started and trying to figure out, okay, what do I offer? How do I structure it? How do I make it semi-automated so at least I can pull from things? And then, there's a process in the beginning of figuring out what's working, and then scaling. And then once you get to a point where you're like, okay, well, now I've scaled and now I'd like to do things with my time. I have that on my vision board personally. I'm not to that point yet, but that's definitely something I'd like. And it's changed a little bit from, oh, I just want to live overseas in Europe, to friends here that are like, no, you kind of need to keep your eye on the ball still while you're young. So don't just move, but travel for a month and come back and do your quarterly check-ins with all your asset managers, etc. So there's got to be like a balance. You'd said that you take 4 months. Are they in a row consecutively, or is it a month here? When they're consecutively like that, how do you plan ahead for that? Do you have people at home that manage certain things for you? How do you do it?
No, it's in a row. And normally I do it, I started with the newsletter systems very early in the business. I was early with that. And my clients are informed via newsletter. Okay, she's off and gone for the next 4 months. And then many of them just book their yearly talk at the moment. And some of them say, wait until you're back. So these are the clients who want to come to my office and sit next to me. But I have to admit that the last year, oh my God, it's almost 2 years, isn't it? Oh my God.
I know.
It changed so much because when I think back in 2019, I had problems sometimes with people from abroad when I told them, okay, we cannot do it via phone, but let's do it via Skype. They had problems installing Skype. Nowadays, everyone can use Zoom. Everybody can do that. And so they know, my clients, that they of course can book sessions with me when I'm traveling. So when I'm traveling, I work normal. I have some clients I do just writing for, and I have my normal work days. But of course they are not 8-hour work days, which are, I wouldn't like that when I'm somewhere at the sea. And so I get my work done and travel around, and I never thought about a real structure that just happened, that just fell into place.
Yeah.
And I have no one home like supporting me. It's the first year, this year is the first year where I think of, oh, maybe I need an assistant next year. Not to keep things going when I'm abroad, but just helping me with the social media stuff. It takes a lot of time, and yeah.
So as far as when you're traveling, so I've learned a couple hybrid models, but I only know one that works in like the general US, Canada, and like Cuba, and some basically US areas. Where, for example, there's networks of like co-working type spaces. And so if you're traveling around, then you can book ahead of time and you can have a, quiet recording studio or things like that. If you're doing a podcast, for example, because I couldn't just go into like a Starbucks and expect it to be quiet, do you do that as far as your space? And then do you work like every other day, half days, or how do you do it? Or is it just when you feel like it? How do you do that?
I think the situation is different as I'm traveling with my van. So whenever I need a quiet studio, I just travel a quiet road and stop there somewhere next to the beach or on a mountain or wherever in the wood. It was quiet. And I did some really lovely recordings within the last years. For example, an astrological cooking class where I taught people how to cook while you're camping, because you don't have all the equipment, you just have like one flame you're cooking on and stuff like that. So that works, that is not the problem. But if I have loads of data I need to transfer, I hop into co-working places. So I'm very strong connected with the co-working Salzburg. That's a very nice co-working space. Whenever you come over, you have to go there. Quickest internet in town, fastest internet in town. And so via that co-working Salzburg, I got connections to other co-working spaces all over Europe. And I can go there. I realized I don't have to very often. It's really just about data transfer. If I have to like send a lot of data for clients who need video production, I do small video productions as well, then of course it's better to go there.
Interesting. So that gives me now how about, well, I guess you kind of just answered that question, because what I did when I was over in Australia and Europe and stuff, and when you're like, almost a full day ahead, or in a change of time, almost a full day, I try to kind of give a window at the end of the day to say, you can book a call with me, just for these like 2 hours if you really want to talk to me. Otherwise, it's my thinking time. But doing something like this, I really wasn't doing any interviews because of the data, the amount of to get streaming and things like that. So you just gave me some ideas. But what I would do is I would stop at like an internet cafe, or I guess I could go look at the networking as far as, okay, a co-working space that's here. I'm going to go to Ibiza next. So what's there, and at least figure out a place that I could do things like this. So thank you for all those ideas, because that's
welcome.
You're living
especially in Europe, you have some shops which offer real quick and good internet as well.
Yeah.
So that's and campgrounds, they are really getting much better. So I've been to a campground lately in Croatia. They had glass fiber. That was so fast. I couldn't believe it.
That's interesting you say that, because it just gave me like an incredible idea. So like people are doing more like camper van stuff and like, outfitting a van, and doing the travel thing. And so that's been my thing, is like, well, how do you get the internet? But there's so many like maybe truck stops and campgrounds and things along the way. And I've seen, maybe it wouldn't work out in the middle just to plop it there, but I've seen these like pods that you can have at, at the campground, Okay. Awesome. Like a vending machine, but like not. That is amazing. Okay, you gave me like a business idea, seriously. So that gave me a couple of ideas. That's, as far as me living my dream. For those that are watching and listening, if that's part of yours, this has just been an awesome session to get to know a couple of ideas and things as far as being able to still live your dreams, and then also be able to, or at least travel dreams, and be able to still work and run your own business. Now, here's the last thing I wanted to talk about that caught my interest earlier. So I've got a couple of family members that are kind of starting over life in their 50s, early 50s, so I know that there's going to be some grieving currently, and then eventually you'll get to the healing phase. But being in denial for a while, I think, has to do with the fact of, here's who I thought I was my whole life, and then now everything has changed. The rug has been taken out underneath my feet, and what am I going to do? You know what I mean? And you're a great example. But I was like trying to tell them stories, and didn't have a personal friend that I knew that I could say, okay, later on in life, maybe you thought you had to have a job, or you had to be a nurse, or you had whatever. But no, so you're an example. Now, how did you get the mental fortitude to break through that, here's who I think I am, to I'm going to give this whole new thing a shot, and kind of start over later on in life?
Part of it might be that I had like that rug thing experience before. I had a real bad accident in skydiving in 2003, and that changed parts of my life. So I had to learn how to cope with you. First of all, that your body can break, and that is a bad experience. And the other is I lost my partner in these days because I really had so much pain and so much problems. We couldn't cope with that. So all that stuff like made me stronger. And I realized in these days that you are not your job or the money you can spend or what you look like, because if you are 1 year and longer in pain, you don't look nice, that's for sure. And so when I came back to my feet, I stayed at the company I've been working at, but I had we had like a new director, and they cut us down, and I like went to that like workers' fight. So I worked for a broadcasting company for television, and I lost that fight and got fired in 2012. And of course, the whole world was like breaking down. For me, it was like I lost everything. I lost all my coworkers, everything I thought I am. But it got my thoughts back to these days when I had that accident. And I thought, when I survived this, I can survive, of course, the other one as well. But nevertheless, it took me 2 years to like get to that life I wanted to live. And that's where I am now and at the moment. And that's what I'd like to tell everybody who has this problem. There will be one day where you are grateful for the changes. And it might take 5 years or 10 years, but I'm, for example, at the moment, I am there. I think I'm so grateful I got fired. I wish I could call that person, but he's not there anymore. I'll tell, thank you, thank you, thank you. You like helped me build up my new life. And I have a little show on an internet show. I always say TV show, but it's not TV. I'm a TV person. We call it the Braveheart show, and I interview people who do what they love. And most of them are over 40. And they all say the same. It's never too late to start, and please do it. So we had a lovely lady at the show a few months ago, and she said, if you're 60 and like, do it. It's worth it. Just start doing what you love, because it's the only life we have. It's not rehearsal. It's now.
Yeah.
Do it.
I love that. I should get that tattooed on my forehead. It's just not a rehearsal. You get one life, you know? Yeah. You know, I'm really thankful for that wisdom and your perspective. I mean, in so many ways during this interview, this has been really fantastic. And as soon as we're finished here, I've got a family member I'm going to send this to right away. And I hope that they watch and listen and read, you know? So thank you, Romana, so much for sharing your talents and your time, and also for your insight, of course, and your wisdom. If anyone that is listening, watching, or reading this at some point in time would like to get a hold of you to work with you or find out more information, how can they do that?
Best thing is I founded a Facebook group, the Happiness Reloaded Facebook group. I founded it during the first lockdown because I had the feeling that I want to lift up the spirits. And that thing got crazy with so many people in there. And I'm doing happiness courses and laughter yoga sessions and stuff like that. So whoever joins the group can, of course, directly contact me and ask whatever he or she wants.
That is awesome. I'm going to actually check it out myself, if that's okay. Well, everybody, this has been another awesome, amazing, enlightening session on Number One Leading Ladies. I appreciate everybody's time today. And of course, you can find us again next week on our podcast, Number One Leading Ladies. Thank you so much.